Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third lecture of week 1, unit 1.3, why qualitative research is important. Once you've understood what qualitative research is, it is very important to understand that why should we study qualitative research? What is its purpose? Why should we conduct a qualitative research? And what are the good and the bad things about the qualitative research? So if we talk about the importance of qualitative research, so it is very important to understand the people and to understand that what are they saying and what are they doing. So if you want to see that how efficient they are or how motivated they are, we need to understand who are these people. We need to see that what exactly are they doing. Along with that, we even need to understand their context, because people in Pakistan might be very different from people in the West. Similarly, people in the West will be very different from people in Pakistan or India, or even within Pakistan. People living in the city and people living in the rural areas would be very different, and as per their context, their decisions is going to change, the way they do things is going to change. So in the qualitative research, we understand their context, we understand who they are, and then we explain that why are they doing something in a certain way. And that actually really affects the market, that actually really affects the businesses, because the business is based on the people and the areas as well. And you all, being business students, would more understand this thing, that people, if people are different, if the context is different, you would need to change your marketing plan, you would need to change your supply chain, supply and demand thing. You will have to change your HR policies as per the people and as per their context and the culture. So, if we talk about qualitative research, there are different purposes of the qualitative research. The first is the identification. For sometimes you don't know about a certain things, and we want to find out. We want to identify that if something is there or not. What is it? Then we explore that. Okay, this certain phenomena is there, and then what is it all about? What is there? Whether it's there, whether it's not there. Then we describe its variations, and then we explain this purpose. I often explain this purpose through an example. For example, there's a black box. There is complete darkness everywhere. So you need to identify if something is there or not. So we take a stone, we take a small pebble, and we throw. If we throw right in front of us, we see, and we are going to see that if it touches something. So if it touches something, it means something is there. So we explore that there is something there. If it doesn't touch anything, if we don't hear any sound, that means there's nothing there. So still it's exploratory. So if we throw a pebble right in front, it's a dark room and we hear something. So now we are going to describe what was the sound about, whether it's a metal, whether it's a glass, whether it's a door, whether, what kind of a thing it is. And then we can explain that, okay, it's a dark room and I threw a pebble and I hear a glass. So I can explain that maybe this glass is a window, maybe this glass is just a wall, maybe this glass is a door. So this is something that in qualitative research, different purposes that we might be doing. So these are the different variables. You might identify a variable, we explore a variable, we describe what that variable is, and then we explain what are its antecedents. But having said that, because qualitative research do not use any kind of statistical data, we do not have any statistical reliability or validity test. People believe that qualitative research is too subjective. I mean, it is too in related to the people. And if it's too subjective, how can it be a research? I mean, people might lie, people might be very different. So, it is difficult to replicate, because if I am teaching at ICRA, I might be very different because I'm teaching business students. But in the same way, if I'm teaching computer science students, engineering students, I might teach them the same thing in a very different way. So how will you judge that which one is there? So generalization sometimes become a problem. There is a lack of transparency, because as I said, it's more subjective, it's more based on what people say, it's more based on what is going on. So often people say that qualitative research is not a true research, and sometimes it becomes too controversial. So qualitative, but in the having said all of that, having said all of that, there are certain reliability and validity tests that we do in qualitative research for example, we enhance the credibility of the researchers, we enhance the trustworthiness, we enhance the applicability of the qualitative research. And then because we say that we are basically working on the people and the context, we are working on them. So even if it's subjective, it applies to them. It applies to anyone who is in that context. It applies to anyone who is like those particular people. So, but having said that, there are certain limitations. Limited data is usually used because obviously, if I'm conducting an interview, I cannot conduct in hundreds and interviews of 1 hour each. So that will like 100 hours, and it will take years for me to complete that qualitative research. So usually, qualitative research is always contextualized. We don't usually generalize it to a broader context, but we do generalize it as per the context and the people that we have collected the data from. um, its analysis is more difficult because, as I said, that if you're conducting an interview, you would need to transcribe, you would need to write down what they've said, you need to analyze, and then you need to understand what exactly are they saying. And then we can use different forms of data. For example, we can use text, something that they have written in diaries. We can analyze the pictures, the videos, the field notes that they are. But sometimes it is very important, very difficult to read between the lines, to understand what exactly the image is for, what the researcher, what the participants were actually thinking, what was going on in their minds, whether they were saying the truth or not. But then, the qualitative researchers have worked towards certain checklists, and they make sure that, people are more comfortable, and they have a complete checklist that we're going to study further. And then, the results become more authentic. I hope that I hope that you were able to understand what qualitative research is, and how why is it conducted, and the good and the bad points. Thank you.